Yes, guys, welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102, the Game On Challenge Part 4. Now, this has been a long time since I've actually played this, so there's a lot of catch-up to do. My Heads Up Network game with Matt, and what I quickly just did is I quickly looked at Part 3, and I'm just looking at the date on it then was the 2nd of January 05. So what's that? Season 4, isn't it? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we were halfway through Season 4. And a hell of a lot has changed since then. A hell of a lot. So just to give you a recap then, before I fire this game up, right? Matt was Paris Saint-Germain. And I was Valencia on the old, on the previous update. We've come on fucking leaps and bounds. Are you ready for this? I've got a shitload to go through with you. I've pulled a sickie from work because I've got a bad toothache, but I've currently taken some medication, so I'm dosed up at the minute, so I quickly thought I'd do a video. So you can see there, Matt. Right. So let's give you the short and long of Matt. He was having a horrendous season of PSG back in Season 4, where he ended up finishing runners-up on the last game of the season. Now, to be fair, he was lucky to get runners-up. He had an absolute shit show of a year. He should have won a title. There was no doubt about that. Nevertheless, he did scrape runners-up. 2 games into the new season, so season 5. Season 5? Yes, sorry. Season 5, he was dismissed as 3 games as manager of PSG. He won the first 2 games. He lost the 3rd game as PSG was sacked. He was sacked as manager of PSG. Which then gave him the best part of 3-4 months without a club. Now, in those few months, there were jobs. I think there was a couple of jobs that came up that he didn't want. He wanted a Sleeping Giant. I tried to explain to him that you're going to have to take what you can get. You've got a sack into your name. Meanwhile, Season 4, for me, with Valencia, finished. Boom! We won the title. But it was the end of the road in Spain for me, and I was looking to move on. Now, when Matt got sacked as manager of PSG, I was looking to move on. So the tough thing for Matt here was, if a decent job came up, he was going to struggle because the chances are I'd go for it. Lo and behold, Lazio came up. I applied, I got it. I got the Lazio job. And therefore Matt had to wait. Now, Matt, I did say, is he going to apply for Valencia? He said he did, and he was offered it, but he declined it. And the reason he declined it was because he didn't want to follow me. And I get that. I totally get that. It's not the greatest concept. Can anybody guess where Matt has ended up, given the colour of his name? Anybody? Anybody? No, it weren't Wolverhampton Wanderers. Okay, Matt ended up landing a job mid-season 6. Yeah? 6? Yeah, mid-season 6. Hang on a minute. No, I'm not talking about. Hang on a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, fucking mid-season 6. Mid-season 4, sorry. We're in season 5, aren't we? What a fucking div, ain't I? 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, sorry. Mid-season 4, he landed the Borussia Dortmund job. And credit where it's due to Matt, he won the title. Having had half a season at Dortmund, he has done really, really well. He won the title, and I think you've got to give him credit where it's due. No doubt about that, because they were sort of midway in the table, but he led them to... did he win the cup? I can't remember if he won the cup. But nevertheless, he was allowed 7 signings at Dortmund, just like I was allowed 7 at Lazio. More about me in a moment. We'll start with Matt. So I've renamed players that we've found between us on regens to their name. So you can see there he's brought in Seaman Regen. These are his 7 players for this season. Gerrard, bit of a risky buy, great player if he stays injury free. David Seaman, well, look at he's been shit, hasn't he? He really has. John Terry was a great buy. What the fuck's happened there? Right, this guy here, Manchin I thought was a great signing, absolute great. Samuel Eto'o, he got him on a Bosman ahead of me. Rustico was a great signing. And the 7 he picked up last season, did he get all 7 in? I think he did, yeah. You got Shigalko, Kaluzny, Mark Hughes regen, John... I didn't even know he brought John Welsh. It's a strange buy. Kufra, Kim Kallstrom and Costanzo. This season, Matt is looking good. He's looking very, very good, as you can see. However, there you see, Matt has dropped out of the UEFA, out of the Champions League. And he'll be very, very disappointed. He'll be really, really pissed off. So he's into the UEFA Cup for this season ahead, or he's dropped into it, shall I say. Let me just remind myself now, where did he get in the... He won the German Cup, I couldn't remember. So he did the double. You could argue that he was half set up, and he probably was, but do you know what? He took over as sacked manager. He did extremely well. He brought players in. The Champions League, he'll be really pissed off at the Champions League. I know he's going to want to finish this season, do a full season, for the same reason as me at Lazio. So, let's talk about me at Lazio then. Ready for this. Didn't want to go too quick. So, the 7 players that I brought in from Lazio. I joined Lazio just after they brought... Riquelme. They brought Riquelme from Barcelona before I took over. So, remember, I'm allowed 7 signings. Sorry, they brought Frey, because I didn't buy Frey. Yeah, that's right, I bought it from the deadline. So the Romario regen arrived. Sebastian Kehel, Ligura, Anderson, the Gascoigne regen, Bagger, some people say he's decent. You know, he's a versatile, he's a good sub. And D'Alessandro. We went to town then on our 7 players. This season, we've brought our 7 players. We've brought some monster players. I'm really happy with our setup. We did find a player in our reserves, in the Lazio reserves, and it's this guy here. I don't know who he's a regen of, so if anybody's got any ideas, ODB, Luigi Di Marco, who is he a regen of? Absolutely great. And I was a little bit hacked off, my own fault. I fucking lost this guy on a Bosman to Milan, so I was really, really pissed off. That being said, I did get Sahar, who's a bit injury prone. Last season, we ended up then, as you can see, we've climbed in to the Champions League. We actually ended up 3rd. We had to win that last game of the season. We ended up managing 3rd. We ended up qualifying for the Champions League. We came with about 25 million to spend, about 30 in the bank. Whereas Matt has started, I think he did say to me, I could look, I'm not going to. He said it was something stupid like 80 odd million in the bank. So he's got the resources there. It's just the 7 players, you've got to choose them carefully. In terms of last season, the Cup, we got knocked out in the semi-final. No, we didn't. Yeah, we lost the Cup. Hang on a minute, what the fuck am I thinking of here? Sorry, scrap that. So I won the first leg of the Cup final against Roma and lost the second leg 6-3. So we lost the Cup final. So this season, we've started off relatively okay. We've picked up recently with form. We had a bit of a shit show of a start. Champions League qualifier, the qualifying, we had to play Nantes, which weren't going to be an easy game. We sailed through in that. In the first phase, we've already seen Dortmund. I forget what group we were in. Let's just see where we ended up. I can't remember who we had in that. There we go. So we did that convincingly. Paris Saint-Germain. Interesting to see Paris Saint-Germain in our group. And surprisingly, finish at the bottom. And as you can see now, group, the second phase is off and running with the Champions League. And we have quite a tough looking group. We have lost 1 game, but won 1 game. That is where we're at. Now, what can I say? Are we both going to be here at the end of the season? So when did I? Let's just see when I signed as manager. We can have a look at this. So I came on the 3rd of November 05. So for me personally, we did it in Liverpool, we did it at PSG, we did it at Valencia. We've got to win this title at Lazio. That's really important. There are our figures. Let's take a look at Matt then. So Matt's managerial. There you see. He did it at Leeds. It wasn't a good day at Paris Saint-Germain, and he's done it at Dortmund. And you've got to give him credit where it's due. Now, something I spotted that I didn't notice until yesterday. Believe it or not, I did not notice until yesterday. And I'm going to use Paris Saint-Germain. So, I didn't know this. Go to history of a club. Go to landmarks. And you can see how many managers have had it. I never knew that. Thank you to Eben, who gave me that little tip there. So as you can see, I only wanted to see it from a managerial perspective, but it gives you a good insight. So you can actually see there, from when they hired me, We won the Charity Shield and we won the top flight. And then they hired Matt. He won the Charity Shield. That's all he won. Then they sacked him. They've hired Jean Tigana. So I never knew that. I never knew that at all. So in terms of this season, for me, for Matt, like I say, is doing really, really well. Matt's setup is the 4-1-2-2-1 formation. Looks good. And for me, my setup is that. That's my current setup. Very similar sort of setup, but using a few different concepts. A couple of players would be questionable signings, I feel. Some people would argue, why did I waste all of my signings on Bagger? Well, I only picked him up for $1 million, and it's all about having a bit of squad depth. Me and Matt have learned you need to have depth in your squad and quality. I lost that player on a Bosman, was really pissed off, but we brought in some players. We brought in this guy, we're just going to call him Marcin, because I can't pronounce his second name, but and he's done really well. Someone actually suggested him to me on one of my streams, and he's done a really, really good job. We brought in, the big marquee signing was definitely Chivu. Romario Regen's done really well. Crespo is still the main man. And of course, Jan Venegor of Hesselink, if that's pronounced correctly. He came on an unprotected contract deal, £2.4 million. Looks very, very good indeed. Defence I wanted to work on. Melberg arrived. We brought in a couple of DMCs. The DMC guy that we brought in, it wasn't Bagger that we brought in specifically. It was this guy, Ilias. I don't know. It's hard to say where we're going to end up because we've had some big results of late. In the last part of the session yesterday, I had some big results against big teams, as you can see. We managed to get our Champions League second phase back on track. That was following a victory at Roma. Napoli was a big result. Parma was a big result. Some great results, but it hasn't all been plain sailing, as you can see. The first two games, we lost at home to Lecce. We drew at Atalanta, and I was fucking disgusted with Atalanta. I was really disgusted. Oh, the 2-0 I think was even worse. Look at that. Talk about being champ-manned. I was fucking seething. I really was. So, where do we go from here then? I mean, Matt... I did think, is Matt going to move on from Borussia Dortmund? I feel you've got to have a complete season. A bit like my own 7-Up game. I had a complete season at Deportivo, season and a half, before thinking, okay, it's time to move on. I feel maybe he has to do a full season like he's going to do. I think after the season, assuming he wins a title, who knows? I do know that when so a lot of jobs appeared, let's just have a look at Matt quickly again. Let's just have a look at Matt's figures. I don't think we looked at them, did we? I do know that when Matt was out of work, and I think this is probably the case of anybody on a network game, he was losing interest. But I was trying to say to him, you're just going to have to deal, wait, persevere. And he did, and it paid off because obviously I moved to Lazio first. So he said he didn't want the Valencia job, I get that. Then 3 jobs came up in succession. Dortmund came up first because I think their manager became the national manager, I think. He applied for Dortmund. Then Juventus came up, and then Benfica. Now, truth be told, right, Benfica would have... I'd have taken Benfica because it's an easy part of the chapter to win a Portuguese title. But he'd already taken Dortmund, so here we are. So this is where we're at then. In terms of resources, my money isn't that great. I don't want to look at Matt's money. He says he's got about £80 million. And I don't disbelieve him at all. Gascoigne regen has been fucking awful for me. Maldini regen is about. Batistuta. Now, let me show you something about Batistuta. Somebody might be able to shed some light on this. So, Batistuta. He has now become the manager of Lille. Not the player manager, the manager. So, he's still got his playing attributes there, as you can see. Does that mean his regen won't come? How does that work? Does anybody know? Because he's no longer... he's on my shortlist still. But he's no longer a player. Unless that means if he was to get sacked as manager of Lille, someone could buy him as a player. So he's not retired out the game. So whilst these attributes are still here, I believe his regen can't come. Or something like that. We know that the Maldini regen is out and about. I think that's the main one, really. I don't think there's anybody else. The Romario regen. Let me give you a little story on the Romario regen, because I've got him on my 7-Up game. We both scouted the Brazilian league to see if we could find Romario, and I couldn't find him, and I gave up. To be honest, I just gave up. And Matt was saying, I can't find him anywhere. Now, I located him on a South American scout. People say that the scouting system within the game is flawed, and it is flawed in respect of when they say this guy's a good player, and he's not, or the other way around. It is flawed in that sense. But what I do is I sent him out to, because I also sent him out to countries. I sent him out to South America, and then I quickly flipped through, and lo and behold, here he was. Now, what you got to think to yourself, right, is he's Brazilian. How did he end up at a Chilean team? Well, that's easy answered. He actually came into the game as a regen as a free transfer, something that we both missed. Now, if you're looking for a regen, and I'm looking for all the Brazilian teams, I'm not going to find Romario because he's not arrived at a Brazilian club. He's arrived at a free, and that's where it gets difficult, because if you don't spot that, he could end up absolutely anywhere. Luckily, I found it in Chile, and that was because of a South American search. When you're looking for your regen, just remember, as well as looking at all your Brazilian sides, it's sometimes handy to do that. But you're going to have some fucking patience, and that's why I don't have any patience to go through all these. That being said, I do have a patch on my update that filters and no clubs down to 160 PA. So, just a little one for you there. So that's it from me. That's it from Matt. We are going to have another session today, probably a bit tomorrow. We're going to really fire through, but this is where we are at the minute. Matt, he was really fucked off about the parasitic man. The bottom line, if I'm truly honest with you, and he asked me if I'm honest with you, and I gave him it, yes, he should have won the title. He had a squad there worthy of winning the title. I don't really know what happened. Did he deserve the sack? At the time that they gave it him, no. But prior, yes. I thought they'd have sacked him when he fell out the Champions League spot. He was in 4th at one point in the French division. So, and do you know what the bizarre thing is, right? The bizarre thing is last season... So they sacked him, and then they went on to win the title. So he was a little bit... they sacked him after those, 2-3 games, and then they went on to win the title with their new manager. And in terms of their setup, let's have a look at their players that they've sold. So basically, like Matt's old club, Leeds. So we were talking about Leeds because he joked, and he says, "What have Leeds done to my team? They've sold everybody." And yeah, I mean, they sold Mark Kerr, they sold Chivu, they've sold some monster players, haven't they? They're no longer really a force. Man U's still the main team. And that's it from me, guys. That is our game on, next chapter, next part, all updated. I hope you enjoyed it. We are really enjoying it, in all honesty. We are really enjoying it, and we're really cracking on. And if the truth be told, whilst I don't get much... it's not that I don't get any game time for my free man, it's because it's difficult for all three of us to be online at the same time. Matt knows when I can get time to prioritise, that game is always going to be first. But this game is certainly second at the minute. And for those of you that want to start new network games, because I know there's a few of you out there, persevere, guys, persevere. I know Ross said about starting a new, wanting to interact with a few other people. So what I'm thinking is I'm thinking of an ODB World Cup game again. Something like that. Let me know your views on that. Or maybe, get this right, a Scottish Premier Division game, maybe. Let me know your views. I would be looking to seek, how many teams are in the Scottish Premier Division? Is it 12? So I think we'd want 10 players if we could. No one can have Celtic or Rangers, clearly. Let me know your views on that, guys. I'm really intrigued. A Scottish Premier League game. Be an interesting one. Till next time from me, guys. Take it easy.